Are you a peaceful seller or selling under pressure? Most owners are first-time sellers, possibly like yourself. If you've done any research into selling, you know there's a world of landmines waiting for you. Even for the savviest owner, obstacles to a successful sale are wide and deep. You need to be honest with yourself to know who you are and how you will be perceived. Your natural instinct is to be cautious about new relationships while keeping your guard up. This includes working with advisors, buyers, and providers of professional services. Eventually, you get to know each other as a flow and trust develops between you. If you have existing relationships with your potential transition team members, please make sure they have experience selling businesses. It could save you millions. The difference with this situation versus other business relationships is that a sale or transition is typically for all the marbles, and you're playing the game often for the first time. Regardless of whether you're a seller at ease or one under pressure, the experience for most of you will be like walking in the dark in your own house. You know where things are supposed to be, but it's still somewhat unknown. Oh, and your spouse bought a few new things and didn't tell you. So look out and expect the unexpected. Here's a tip for buyers and advisors. Tread lightly, or you could spook a seller. They're torn between wanting to work with you and running away. There is a lot going on in their heads, and you really need to respect that. So, are you a peaceful seller? You're incredibly proud of your company, both profitable and still growing. You talk about it to anyone who will listen. You've put your heart and soul into it and are justifiably pleased, as you should be. Building a successful business is a great accomplishment. Some of you will ask for or take every dollar you can all the way through the selling transaction. After all, that's what you've been doing for years. There's a good reason the company is so profitable, and you have done well personally. Your due diligence documents are up to date, accurate, and provided quickly. The documents are thorough and usually offer more than what was asked for. You've always stayed away from lawsuits you can't win. The last thing you or the buyer want is a lawsuit during due diligence or after closing. Clean operations and acquisitions are the norm. Buyers can expect a smooth transition and likely a long-term relationship with you long after the closing. All the potential good anticipated from this kind of seller requires the buyer be equally reasonable in their actions. Good employees usually stay with the company past closing, assuming they are treated fairly. You may be relaxed, but your employees may not be. Here's a tip. Sometimes employees are happy with the status quo, and when change is thrust upon them, they react by fleeing. This is not your fault. It could be that they will experience great changes that would make their lives much better. Doesn't matter. Change is not always welcome, so don't be surprised when one of your staff says they are leaving. They simply like it the way it is, and that's it. Typically, the last person you expect to leave will be the first to go, or at least say they are leaving. Your bigger customers are happy and continue adding sales to their accounts throughout the transition. As a proud seller, you will go above and beyond to share with the buyer best practices learned over the years in your industry. Secrets to maintaining great customer and vendor relationships are freely offered. You want the new owners to be as successful as possible. Now, let's look at selling while under loads of pressure. As a desperate seller, you tend to have flat or declining sales. One profitable division or product line while others are not doing so well. Only 20% of your customers represent 80% of sales. Financials are inaccurate. You may have an unrelated company attached to the main company, but not part of the sale. You may have one or all of the above situations. You're very stressed and living with a bad situation that only seems to worsen the longer you wait. The company has been slipping for months and likely years. You know something should have been done about it, but you didn't want to admit failure to yourself. Now it's too late and you're desperate, operating at a personal low. You think you can fool the buyer with false accounting and half-truths about staff, customers, and vendors. Maybe some buyers will be fooled, but not all, especially the ones who can write the big check. They will find out before they write the check. The due diligence reports you were asked for take a long time to generate and typically are incomplete. The list of reasons specific information cannot be provided just keeps growing until you hear yourself say the dog ate it. Buyers quickly run out of patience with this kind of activity. As you are not a desirable business to buy, it becomes clear to you that most of the folks involved with the company, including employees, investors, and vendors, will be losers in the transaction, if there is one. You also come to the realization the only winners will be the buyers who acquire whatever is salvageable for a bargain price. You can divert your resentment towards the buyers and blame them for your troubles. You will likely tell the staff it's the buyer's fault, not yours. The staff know the truth. Some inexperienced buyers, especially those responsible for investing OPM or other people's money, get excited about investigating and bidding on a distressed company. They can be blinded by the deal and want nothing less than to complete a transaction. As a desperate seller, you may look for this naive buyer, almost like a predator, and will exploit them the same way. Your desperate and borderline fraudulent behavior peaks before an actual bankruptcy. You reach out for a final move to save the company, or raise cash to repay existing investors or yourself. You believe it's the responsibility of the buyer and their trusted advisors to detect an inevitable bankruptcy. If the financial statements are a misrepresentation of the real situation, the business implosion might not be obvious to a newbie or even an experienced buyer. When the transaction is complete, the buyer could find themselves with only the slow-paying, low-margin customers, unproductive employees who drive the company deeper into debt, angry vendors turning up, and an unwarranted negative reputation is created. Potentially existing but as yet unidentified lenders and lawsuits appear. The buyer has lost their savings and or the investor's money, and I don't think anyone wants this to happen. As a seller, you need to recognize who you are and how you appear to a buyer. It may be time for an attitude change. Here are 11 key tasks or questions. How will your employees react to finding out you're selling and behave during the transition? Make a list of all employees and rate them out of 5 stars for anticipated cooperation both pre and post transition. Do you need to move up or down, replace or remove anyone? List what you're thinking about hiding or just not disclosing that could be negative to the buyer. What do you have to do to fix these situations? Because as we said above, not disclosing is not going to work in your favor. Identify all the members of your transition team: business seller, legal, accounting, tax, wealth management, financial planning, valuation, and insurance. Rate them out of 5 stars for experience and expertise in performing their function within the world of a business sale or transition. Are your documents up to date? And you should see the due diligence document section in our program. Do you have any potential legal issues? Will you get any negative reaction from customers locked into you personally? List the key potentially problematic customers and develop a plan for each one to ease the transition. Identify the 20% of your products or services that deliver 80% of profit. Now look at what you can do to eliminate or improve the remaining 80% that only produce 20% of profit. Be brutally honest with yourself. I guarantee the buyer will be. If you have investors or partners, ask up front what they think about your selling the business. Make sure everyone is on board before you start the process. Be clear with your transition team how much you own and what your investors or partners will get from a sale. Full disclosure is key.